Startled by the request, Figaro hesitated momentarily before slamming his foot down on the pedal as she swung her way inside, tugging at the hem of her cloak.
Where am I going?
Tires squealed on the concrete as they swerved around someone lying in the middle of the road.
Away.
The stench of burning rubber was apparent even in the front seats. The outraged followers moaned, screamed, and prayed for their goddess's return. Everyone in the car didn't dare look behind them. What was once a long road was left in pieces, broken apart and randomly lined across the plain, until there was no more. Dust was pulled up from the ground, shrouding the mountain range that loomed overhead. Peeking over the horizon was a tiny shop. From the looks of it, it seemed like a grocery store with painted verdant walls and a handmade sign. As the car neared the gas pumps in front of the store, Figaro neared to a stop.
This good, lady?
The driver turned over the headrest of his seat and was surprised to see blood spattered over the Wyrd's unique hair ornaments.
For now.
She murmured, fingering the source of the injury.
Are you okay?
Figaro hopped out of the car and stepped over to the back.
Ooh, you must have wanged your head back there. It's a good thing you have long hair, eh? You can just comb this thing right over.
Upon getting a better look at her, he froze.
Oh. Hello.
Glaring at him was her only response. Sensing the awkward atmosphere, Roald cleared his throat.
I guess you can make that sandwich now.
He gestured towards the store.
Yeah. Okie dokie, I'll see what I can do. My belly's making the rumblies too. You guys want to help a brother out and watch the car?
Yeah, sure. No problem.
His spirits fell as he realized he'd have to spend more time alone with the Wyrd.
Okay, brah. And, lady, brah. I'll be right back.
The darker-haired figure disappeared behind the tinted glass door. Roald put his feet up on the dash and stifled a yawn as the Wyrd rifled through her bag.
Amusing little man, isn't he?
He's the only helpful person I've met since I left.
Her gaze lowered as she stopped rummaging. A clicking sound could be heard.
Try not to get too attached.
She pulled her hands back so they were clasping one another.
Why? What's gonna happen to him?
There was short hesitation in his voice. Her head bobbed as she reached forward.
Your hand, Roald. I want to see it.
I'd like a straight answer.
But that's not the question you should be asking, kitten.
She reached for his hand.
Kitten?
He held his injury closer.
Like in the adage, because you're a curious beast.
Stretching over the seat, she grabbed his wrist and he submitted. Uncomfortably, she twisted his arm over the headrest and inspected the damage.
Self gawin o iakaw. Gorandoi gaathfach.
She uttered hypnotically, her fingers striking the soft white surface of the burn.
Ow!
He exclaimed, jerking his arm back in pain. It had begun to burn once again.
What did you do that for? It hadn't hurt at all.
Yes, and that goes into the not good category of the universe.
She smirked.
It'll heal faster if it hurts.
He cradled his hand in the other.
That's an absolute load of...
Upon glancing back at the wound, the edges of the welt had yellowed.
That's new.
Mm-hmm.
The Wyrd nodded, while combing back her hair.
Not like I want to believe it, but you just cast a spell on me, didn't you?
He asked, wincing as he ran his fingers over the wound. It was wet, but the flesh was starting to get thicker. She shrugged and rested her hands on her knees.
Call it what you will.
Yes and no aren't words in your vocabulary, are they?
Her laughter was melodic as she responded.
A dichotomous world is one full of untruths.
A wistful sigh escaped Roald as he looked back over at the store.
So you're coming along then?
Under one condition.
Name it.
There is something else I need while I'm there.
The reply was vague, and her expression offered no more information.
That doesn't seem so bad. Alright. Deal.
Roald extended his hand, temporarily forgetting his wound.
Don't touch me, Kit. I'm not doing this for you.
Who then? Boreal?
Not the right question.
What's your deal with that guy anyway? I thought he was...
Don't press it.
Raising both hands in defeat, Roald spoke.
Sorry, I'm just saying.
The door of the store creaked open as Figaro returned with a tower of food.
I've never seen meat so rotten in all my life. Ay, Maria.
What is that?
The Wyrd asked suspiciously, eyeing the sandwiches.
Barbecue sauce and tempeh. The microwave was the only thing not on the fritz.
Balancing all of the food, he turned to Roald as he sat down in the driver's seat.
I put ranch on yours, bro. Shout out if you're not dying, okay?
The passenger rolled his eyes as he took it.
Thanks.
Figaro passed one to the back seat, and the Wyrd stroked it with her finger before grabbing it. She placed it down on one hand before poking at it with a long fingernail, peeling back the layer of bread to sniff it.
It's not alive.
No, it's food. It's the stuff that you put in your mouth and chew to fill your tummy.
Fascinating.
She picked up a strip of tempeh.
Then what?
Figaro awkwardly glanced over at Roald, who had already scarfed half down.
Swallow?
And this ritual does not induce pain?
She tilted her head to look at the underside of the bread.
Is there a typical progression?
Just try it, lady. I'm sure you'll like it.
He was struggling to hold back laughter in the fear of being cursed.
And what if it poisons me?
The world is full of what-ifs.
Figaro waved the question off. Roald had already finished his.
I know someone who'll take it if you don't.
Not bad.
Roald sputtered through stuffed cheeks.
I mean... It's not phenomenal, but food is food.
Thanks for the boost of ego there, brah. Really helping.
Figaro took a bite and tore it off gruesomely.
Yeah, I'd rather have steak.
Tentatively, she raised it to her lips and nibbled.
Catechin, catechol, anthocyanin.
This is weird. You're weirding me out, lady, brah. Are you putting a curse on me?
I don't think so.
So artificial.
She licked the sauce dripping down the side.
So unnatural. So toxic.
Elegantly, she broke off a piece and stuffed it down her throat.
So adequate. This new sensation. Mine eyes are made fools of the other senses, or else worth all the rest.
So, is that in the good category, or what?
Figaro asked, feeling the awkwardness consume him. She took the remainder and gently pushed it down her throat with her fingers.
Adequate. So adequate.
Should we park here for the night? I mean, it's getting dark, and it'd be nice to have a guaranteed breakfast.
Roald felt obligated to change the topic. Leaning back, Figaro agreed.
I'm good with that. So where are we going, anyway?
South. Far, far south. The flowers can only grow where the sun shines the hardest.
Wait, what? Flowers?
Yes.
Roald turned to him with a deadpan expression. Figaro shook his head.
What are you doing trying to go after those things? That's like throwing your life away.
Offer's still up for you to leave.
No way, man. I still owe you. Besides, I need to cover some ground as well.
Suspiciously, Roald inspected him. Waving a short finger towards the mountain range, the Wyrd continued.
We need to get through the desert and over the mountains. If we travel quickly, it will only take 4 days to get there.
How are we supposed to catch them?
You need them asleep. Alive and they'll kill you, dead and they're useless. But I need to pick up something that'll help me, and I hope for your sake that it's still there.
Vivid red skies started to peel back into dark violet, wispy clouds to reveal the oncoming dusk.
Great! We got a game plan.
Figaro clapped his hands together, disturbing the tranquility. Roald nodded slowly.
We should leave first thing tomorrow.
He murmured, his head bobbing. Worriedly, the Wyrd rummaged through her bag again.
Before you fizzle out, chew on these.
She passed him a small bundle of kana and skullcap.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What is that?
Figaro took it from the passenger.
If you're gonna tell people to do something, explain why. 'Kay, lady? I don't know if this will make him high, or constipated, or what. And that's not cool.
It doesn't look like he's gotten that much sleep. I don't work with feeble kittens if strength is an option. These will ensure he sleeps well.
You should save it for whatever potion you need. I'm already ahead of you.
Flowers aren't cannibals, kitten.
She pulled the herbs out of Figaro's grasp.
And it's a precaution.
That's fine. But if you throw a curse on either of us, I'm going
Hurt me? You can't now. It makes sense, though.
She passed them to the passenger seat.
You don't want to chew on the stem.
Listlessly, Roald plucked off a leaf and popped it in his mouth. Bitterness struck his tongue.
Ugh, no thanks.
He tossed the bundle back at her as she flicked the leaf out the window. She stuffed them back in her bag.
Suit yourself.
I don't want no metal thugger stripping us down, so one of us will have to keep vigil for a while, Lady Bro.
Figaro stated, twisting over the headrest.
I'm up for it if your head's hurting too bad.
Taking his hand away, the Wyrd ran it over her head where it was bleeding before. Not a dent or a speck remained.
I'm fine, and you don't have a weapon.
I'll take his knife. I know how to use one of those.
He glanced over at her rod. Taking the object, she raised the crescent end up through where a roof might be, and it hooked around his throat.
Let's have us a little lesson then, shall we?
She smiled, enjoying herself.
This end is the stabby slice and dice part, and this?
Whipping the weapon back over her head, the spade pelted against the hard ground, cracking it like eggshells.
Is for burying the body. Any questions?
Nope. That's a done deal.
Figaro shivered under the winter breeze. Reaching over for his lighter, he held it close to his fingertips.
I'll keep that in mind. Thanks, lady.
The Wyrd fell onto her back across the seat, her legs dangling outside where the window would have been. Swirling above were clouds of red, green, and purple. Then even further above were 1,000 stars like lanterns. Constellations, all clearly visible through the smog. Ear-piercing shrieking rang in Roald's ears. It couldn't be stopped. Was he melting? It was warm at least. Wind pelted at his blind side. Coughing and sputtering sounded all around him. Still the screaming persisted. Some liquid spilled onto the ground.
Run! Run, you damn soul! Before
The
it...
screaming became louder. The sound of fingernails on shrapnel echoed. Booming footsteps, the cocking of a gun. Something pushed him down, and he felt the cold metal against his forehead.
Just breathe.
Roald's head flew off of the seat as he instinctively clutched onto his chest, then ran his fingers over the blind side of his face. No metal. Breathing heavily, he whipped his head around in a panic. Still in the car, in the middle of nowhere, still beside the market, the night sky still young. Sitting atop the front tent of the vehicle was Figaro, staring up at the constellations.
Hey, little bro.
Bad dreams.
What? No, I just...
Whatever, dude. It's cool.
Figaro was very sedate. Taking something from his coat pocket, he leaned back against where a windshield might have been. The passenger stumbled out of the car, holding on to the frame with the death grip.
Are you alright?
On a scale of red to blue, how honest of an answer do you want?
Blue, I guess?
I don't know.
The answer came tiredly. He was fiddling with something in his fingers.
And what about yourself?
I'm fine. I just don't know if I want to go back to sleep.
Figaro glanced back at the witch, sound asleep in the back.
Do you want to take watch for me? Lady's supposed to, but I don't want to wake her up. You know, in case she zaps me into a frog or something.
Yeah, sure.
Roald clambered over the top of the engine beside him.
Look, I don't really know what your deal is, but I just wanted to say thank you for taking me as far as you have. For the water.
No.
Figaro yawned and passed him a degrading look. He pushed himself through the gaping hole in the window back into the driver's seat.
You've got better things to cash in your breath for.
Roald was hesitant at the odd behavior, but a fist bump between the two ended the short conversation mutually.